Hi, my nature name is Clover, and today we're going to be reading The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. At the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows in the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood just as long as it could before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, the old Onceler still lives here. Ask him, he knows. You won't see the Onceler, don't knock at his door. He stays in the lurkum on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkum, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of a myth-muttered moof. And on special dank midnights in August, he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you perhaps if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents in a nail and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather's snail. Then he pulls up the pail, makes a most careful count to see if you paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you paid him away in his snoove, his secret strange hole in his groovulous glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper my phone, for the secrets I tell are for your ears alone. Slop, he slops down the whisper my phone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through a snurgly hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back.
Way back in the days when the grass was still green and the pond was still wet and the clouds were still clean and the song of the swami swans rang out in space, one morning I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze, and under the trees I saw the brown barbaloots frisking around in their barbaloot suits as they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the ripulous pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. But oh, those trees, those truffula trees! All my life I'd been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I unloaded my cart.
In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffula tree with one chop. And with great skillful skill and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and I needed a thneed. The instant I finished, I heard a gazump. I looked. I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues. And I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed. What's that thing you've made out of my truffula tuft? Look, Lorax, I said. There's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed is a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses, yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, "Sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool need."
Was wrong. For just at that minute, a chap came along, and he thought that the need I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. "You poor, stupid guy. You never can tell what some people will buy." "I repeat," cried the Lorax, "I speak for the trees." "I'm busy," I told him. "Shut up, if you please." I rushed across the room and in no time at all built a radio phone. I put in a quick call. I called on my brothers and uncles and aunts, and I said, "Listen here. Here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to North Nitch, turn left at Weehawken, and sharp right at South Stitch." And in no time at all, in the factory I built, the whole Onceler family was working full tilt. We were all knitting needs, just as busy as bees, to the sound of the chopping of truffula trees. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked off 4 truffula trees at one smacker. We were making needs 4 times as fast as before, and that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore.
But the next week he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, "I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots, who played in the shade in their barbaloot suits, and happily lived eating truffula fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffula fruit to go round, and my poor barbaloots are all getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys," he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Onceler, felt sad as I watched them all go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm, I most truly did not, but I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered the loads of knees I shipped out. I was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more needs, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. Then again he came back. I was fixing some pipes when that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. "I am the Lorax," he coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled, he snargled, he sniffed. "Onceler," he cried with a cruffulous croak, "Onceler, you're making such smogulous smoke. My poor swami swans, why they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in his throat." "And so," said the Lorax, "please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape from the smog you've smogged up around here."
"What's more," snapped the Lorax, his dander was up, "let me say a few words about gluppity-glup. Your machinery chugs on day and night without stop, making gluppity-glup, also schloppity-schlop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Onceler man, you." "You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off. Oh, their future's dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary, in search of some water that isn't so smeary." And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, "Now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap yap and say bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering, turning more truffula trees into needs, which everyone needs. And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last truffula tree of them all. No more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done. So in no time, my uncles and aunts, everyone, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under the smoke-smuggered stars. Now all that was left neath the bad-smelling sky was my big empty factory, the Lorax, and I.
The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance, just gave me a very sad, backward glance, as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants, and I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took leave of this place, through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with the one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. That was long, long ago, but each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, says the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the Onceler. He lets something fall. It's a truffula seed, the last one of them all. You're in charge of the last one of the truffula seeds, and truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula, treat it with care, give it clean water and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us to read The Lorax today. Let's chat for a few more minutes about why the story of the Lorax is important and what we can learn from it. In the story, everyone sees how valuable and important the truffula trees are, but they think about the value differently. Take a moment right now, you can pause the video if you'd like, and think about why the things you see in nature, like trees, are valuable to you. You may have said that trees give us shade, or that they give animals a home, or that they grow delicious fruit, or that they're just beautiful and they make you happy. The Lorax and his friends would probably say all of those things. You might have also said something like, we can get paper from trees, or we can build houses with wood from trees, which are also true statements and probably more like what the Onceler would say. The Onceler values the truffula trees because he can cut them down and use them to make the needs, but he doesn't think about how he's going to help repair the environment after he has cut down the truffula trees. For instance, he could have planted a new tree, or slowed the rate at which he was cutting down the trees to give them a chance to regrow. Or, in this case, he could have recognized that this particular ecosystem was so vulnerable that he probably should have just left all the trees alone. From the consequences of the Onceler's actions, we learn that we need to be careful about using resources, because we may hurt the earth otherwise. Whenever we use a resource, like trees, we need to ask ourselves whether we're harming the earth by using that resource, and also how we're going to give back to the earth now that we've taken something from it. The earth is amazing, in part because it provides us with so many wonderful materials to make things we need, like clothes, food, and paper. But we need to make sure that we're always treating the earth like a partner we love. We need to care for nature just as it cares for us.
The Lorax himself inspires us to have courage to protect the earth.
Even though the Lorax is alone in fighting the Onceler, he knows that it's up to him to protect his environment, and he never backs down. The Earth can't fight for itself, so we need to fight for it. The lines near the end of the book, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better, it's not, are lines that you should always, always remember. The Lorax fights hard on his own, but imagine how much stronger he would have been if 10 other people also felt the same responsibility that he felt and were working to fight the Onceler. It's a sad thing to think about, but people like the Onceler, who aren't treating the Earth with care, are hurting it even now. But what we all need to remember is that each one of us has the power to make a difference. I know sometimes when you're looking at big problems or you see a lot of people doing the wrong thing, it can feel like you're alone or like you're too small to make a difference. But you're not alone and you're not too small. You are strong, and sometimes all you need to do is speak up to protect the Earth, or to make a tiny change in your daily life. If you become aware of environmental problems in your neighborhood, maybe you see or hear or read about them, write a letter to the mayor of your town or your city, or write to your local town council person about it. They may be able to help you, or you may have just reminded them to think more deeply about their impact on nature down the road. Conserving energy is another way that you can protect the Earth. Turn the lights off when you leave a room and ask an adult whether the light bulbs you use are LED bulbs, which can help save energy and save money. Also, to learn more about environmental issues and ways you can help the Earth, reach out to your local environmental protection organizations. In New York, maybe try the City Parks Foundation, or your local parks department, or try We Act, which is an environmental justice organization. Lots of these organizations started when people just like you saw something wrong with how the Earth was being treated, and they decided to do something about it. Thanks so much for listening. You can all be nature heroes. So let's work together, you, me, and the Lorax, to treat the Earth with kindness and make sure that others do so. Thanks so much again.